covering this case, this trial now for the last several years here. It appears the defense wins here because they were essentially conceding some of these other lesser charges.
Steve, I think that's a good way to put it. When you think about the kidnapping charge in this, the most serious offense, Elizabeth Johnson was facing upwards of 27 years in prison. Evidently, the jury could not come to a unanimous decision. Therefore, they did find her guilty on the lesser charge of unlawful imprisonment. What exactly does that mean, considering she's been found guilty of conspiracy to commit custodial interference? Those two alone could really equal to a time-served issue. Does that mean she gets released immediately? That's what we're trying to find out. Joining me now is Benjamin Taylor. Mr. Taylor was well involved in this case for quite some time because he represented Jack Smith. Jack and Tammy Smith, you might recall, were involved in this case. Tammy Smith was found guilty of conspiracy to commit custodial interference early on in this. Jack Smith was never charged with a crime, but he did testify. We're going to get to that in a moment, but first, Mr. Taylor, I want to ask your opinion. What does this mean? Unlawful imprisonment. She avoids the kidnapping conviction.
Yes, currently as we speak right now, the jury is listening to aggravating factors. Okay. So after the aggravating factors come out, I'm sure the defense attorney might ask for a release because she's been in jail for almost over 2.5 years, 3 years. So the judge could give her credit for her time served or wait till sentencing. My opinion is the judge probably will wait till sentencing and what's going to happen within probably a month from now to decide.
Is this a victory for the defense in this? Is this a Elizabeth Johnson victory?
I mean, beating one count is always good for a defense attorney to beat one count. The other counts they were found guilty on, so that's a victory for the prosecution. So depending on the sentencing, that's what's going to really determine whether or not a victory for the defense or the prosecution.
And I want to be clear, so many people out there may be wondering, is Elizabeth Johnson essentially going to walk free now on time served? Because the defense will likely file a motion. It could be right now, it could be an hour from now, who knows? A motion called, what is it, intent to release, a motion to release based on time served. What is the likelihood of her walking the streets?
A lot depends on the judge. Judge Kramer right now is listening to the aggravating factors right now. And depending on the defense motion and how they argue the motion, he could release her. But most likely, my opinion is the judge will probably hold her until the sentencing date, which will be probably over 30 days from now.
Okay. Now, you represented Jack Smith. Correct. Tammy was found guilty, as I mentioned, of conspiracy to commit custodial interference. Time served. She's now out and about. What has it been like watching really the second phase of this saga, for lack of a better term, unfold as an attorney who was well involved?
Watching this case is it was a little bit less stressful than watching Tammy's case. Tammy and Jack are good people. I actually talked to Tammy yesterday and text messaged her today about the verdict coming out. So watching this case, it was interesting to see how it unfolded, see the finality of the case. Okay. But Jack and Tammy, just to let you know, are doing well, and they're in good spirits.
Boy, so intricate this. Mr. Taylor, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Steve and Connie, something to keep in mind in all of this that's really heartbreaking in this is baby Gabriel. The little boy, 7 months old at the time, disappeared the day after Christmas 2009, last seen in San Antonio, and still to this day, nobody truly knows if that boy is dead or alive.
Chris, fair to say that many police officers who've looked at this case and investigated this case have very strong suspicions, though, that she did kill this child. She's never faced charges for it, although she at one point told the baby's father of this. But they've searched landfills, they've searched parks looking for the baby's remains. Do most of the officers that you've talked to who've worked this case believe that this child is dead?
Most of the officers I've talked to, Steve, have the unfortunate belief that Gabriel is no longer with us. However, when it comes to a legal system based on true facts, the facts really aren't there. We do not know if she did indeed give the boy away. What we do know is what she said. And she said to Logan McQuarrie, baby Gabriel's father, that she had killed the little boy. When you look at it legally, I think it's very difficult for the investigators to move forward. That's why we have not seen any kind of a charge related to the boy's direct disappearance. And by disappearance, I mean potential death.
Yeah, there's just no evidence. They've never found a body, and they've never found any evidence that she actually killed the child, except for that one statement she made to the boy's father.
And then recounted, yeah, so we'll see.